Hi everyone, welcome to this knowledge session. We are back again. We are a team of passionate developers who not only focus on writing a developing an application, but our main focus is also on your code should be highly scalable and optimized. So we follow our best practices in order to make our code much scalable and good as we can. So this time we are back with a session on Slick through the expert lenses of Jagdish Singh. He is a software consultant in Nodus INC. So Jagdish, the stage is all yours. So before we are gonna starting the session, let me give you a brief introduction. What actually is Slick? So when it comes to the development, one of the main angle through which we have to look around is how you're connecting to the database, how you're interacting with the database, means the queries which you are going to execute over there. So we need actually a library through which we can communicate with the database in a proper way, or we don't need to worry about the queries. Means we need to have that library which should be handy, and we can use that library to communicate with the database. So Slick is one of that popular library, and I believe if someone is doing coding in Scala, they might be aware of what actually the Slick is. So in this session, Jagdish will take us through that demonstration how actually the Slick is and how to work with it. So the stage is all yours, Jagdish. Please share your screen.
Thanks for leaving. Is the screen visible?
Yes, it's visible. The stage is all yours. Please start the session.
Thanks. So let's first discuss knowledge etiquettes. So first one is punctuality. We should join the session 5 minutes prior to the session start time, so we can conclude on time. And we should keep our mobiles on silent mode. And anyone feel free to move out of the session in case you need to attend an urgent call. And feedback is very important, so make sure to submit a constructive feedback for all session, as it is very helpful to the presenter. So please avoid disturbance. So our agenda is I'll discuss about the Slick, what is Slick, what are the features of Slick, and how Slick works, and how we set up it. And I'll demonstrate, I'll write Slick to Scala queries. So the first one is what is Slick. So Slick is a library which makes database queries type safe. So like we won't be have to worry about what will be the type of queries when we are fetching something out of the database. It manages JDBC connections. So it provides us unified session management. So we are not need to worry about the resultants. So like whatever we are getting, we explicitly define types for the columns always. So Slick uses Scala versions above 2.10. Previous to that, there was Scala query, which was predecessor to the 2.19. What are the features of Slick? So Slick uses the same syntax as of Scala, so we won't have to learn something extra. So it prevents SQL injections, so that no one can access database out of it, and it provides compile time safety. So whatever the types of the columns are defined already gets defined at the compile time. So if there are some complex queries, like we are not able to write it in Slick, then we can also use SQL syntaxes. So like we can write SQL queries. So it's simple. Setup is very simple. So I'll talk about that later. So it provides us accessibility just like Scala collections. So like it will feel like we are interacting with Scala collections, but we are interacting the database. It supports most of the databases as per the current date. So like Postgres, MySQL, SQL Server, Oracle, DB2, Derby, S2, DB, HyperSQL, SQLite. So like we just need to add dependency for the database and Slick, then we are good to interact Slick. So like the thing comes that's compiled to the SQL queries with the SQL to SQL compiler, Scala to SQL compiler. So every time our project runs, so our queries get compiled to the SQL and then gets executed. So like we don't need to worry about what will be the uh, types that will be returned. So Slick automatically manages all of those things. So also like we can avoid over compile like by using compiled and compiled queries. So they will run directly. They won't get compiled every time we hit a query. So the setup is quite simple. You just need to add dependency for the database and Slick and add your database configuration. Then you need to map your schema and database table with the Scala case class, and you are good to write queries. Now I'll write some queries. So like I have these two tables. One is student and one is student marks. So I have a student ID, email, name, date of birth, and address. So address is a JSON here. Slick has very good compatibility with the JSON columns also. And I'm creating one more table, student marks, which will have marks for each student. So first of all, I need to create mapping for these tables. So I have created student details class, which will be linked to the student table. So I had these columns, student ID, email, name, date of birth, and address, which is a JSON. And I have another class, which is student marks. So like it will have student ID, subject name, and marks. So it will be linked to the second table, which is student marks. So the next step is to link these classes with the tables. Like every parameter will be linked to the every column. So for that we define mapping like this. Like in the column we wrap the type that is expected. That is the type of a column and the type expected. So student ID is the primary key. I have defined a primary key here, and all the other columns, email, name, date of birth, and address is a JSON. So Select doesn't use the types as it is. It wrap these types into wrap, which is a lifted embedding. So to make sure that we are getting the types and in the second table. So we can also define primary key if we have more than one columns that I've done in another table. So here we have student ID, subject name, and marks. And here the primary key is the combination of student ID and subject ID. So we can define primary key for multiple columns also. Now let's write queries. So if I have to write an insert query for student table, if I have to insert data in the student table, I will have to write this query in this SQL. But in Slick, I can directly use. So I need to define table query with this table, student table, and I can use it. Directly I need to just pass on the object. And you can see it returns a future of int, like what number of records of this query is inserted. So it is for one single record if I have to insert single record. So now if I have to insert multiple records, that I can also do. it takes sequence of case class like student marks. So it's student marks. You can see it returns future of option of int. So if a record is inserted, then we will get the sum of int. Otherwise, if no record is inserted, we will get none here. So if I have to update details in the student table, I will have to write this query like in the where clause I will define student ID, which is a primary, and I'll pass on all the columns that need to be updated. So I'll just filter out first record, like which record has to be updated. Doing so, I'll get a record which needs to be updated. In Slick, we define three equals, like we don't have to pass use different things for option or if a column is not option. So it automatically manages that also. Directly I'll pass the details like student details here. So here I have updated all of the details like the name, date of birth, address on the basis of email, which is a primary key. So here we can also update a single column. For that I need to use map to define the column which needs to be updated. So like I want to update email here. So you see it also returns future of int, so like number of records updated by this query. So earlier we have inserted data in the student record, student table. Here we can use to insert or record update also, like on the basis of primary key, which I defined in the wrapping, it will insert or update a record in the student table. So like if I need to fetch records matched by some ID, like how many records are there with this student ID. So then I'll just filter out records, then check size, result. So it will return the number of records present in the database with this student ID. So like as I told earlier, Slick provides a good compatibility with the JSON column. So if I need to fetch a parameter out of JSON, that I can do directly with the query. So address is a JSON column. So and out of JSON, I can pass a key whose values need to be fetched. For that, we use this separator. So it will also, we need to write a result here. It will return the result of this query. So as student ID is the primary key, so there will be only one record with this student ID. I can use that option here. So it will return a single value, not this sequence. So here I have fetched a single value out of JSON. So if I need to get a single column value, and I'll just filter out the record. And I'll just pass on the column that need to be fetched. So I need to fetch the address column. So like how you have passed a single where condition all of above, we can also pass multiple condition in the where clause. First one is ID. I'll check the ID. I'll check with the email. So if I need to set apply union join on any table, so like I need to fetch relevant data out of second table on basis of some join, that I can also do with Slick. Like if I need to fetch marks that represent in the student marks table and email is in the student table, so I'll just filter out first record with the email. Here I'll pass the columns in on which join needs to be applied. So you want to join on student ID. So I'll just filter out subject ID in second table. So I'll get one record with this join. So I just need the answers, sorry, marks. This is a single column in the second table. And it will result right after. Now just let's see to run it. So let's just create a student. So we'll just pass the email, name, date of birth, and marks. So marks for 2 subjects and the address. So you see, student got created with these credentials, and this detail is saved in the JSON. And marks for 2 subjects got inserted. If I want to fetch marks, I will just pass the email, same, and the subject ID. So it should return 95 marks. So it returned me the marks for this subject with this email. If I want to fetch the address for some user, so like we have this column is a JSON, so we can't fetch some value directly. So if I want to fetch some value out of JSON, we can do that. Like I'll just pass here country, which is key in the JSON column. Email is wrong here. So it returned with your country, which was saved in the JSON. So let's just update email. So you see email got updated here. So these were the queries that we have written from SQL to Slick. So anybody have any queries?
So I encourage everyone to, if you do have any query, please ask Jagdish, because it's some of the basic steps which you should follow when you are working with Slick, and it's one of the fundamental session. So if you do have any doubt, ask Jagdish. We will be happy to answer you.
Okay, so I'll take that as a no.
Jagdish, seems we are good to go. If you do have any doubt, we will be happy to answer you. And if you're hesitating, you can reach out to us on Google Chat as well. We will try to answer you as best as we can. And make sure to submit your constructive feedback for this session as well, since it's very helpful in making our sessions more interactive and much better. So I think, Jagdish, we are good to go.
Yes, thanks everyone.
Thanks for attending the session. I encourage and appreciate your efforts and time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you everyone for
Thank you.
joining. Have a great day.